Hey there and welcome. Today, we're going to zero in on one single super powerful hormone that plays an absolutely crucial role in every IVF journey, luteinizing hormone, or as we'll call it, LH. Let's jump right in. You know, when you think about all the complex steps and moving parts in an IVF cycle, it might be a little surprising that so much of it comes down to successfully managing the timing of just one hormone. It's one of the biggest challenges for your clinical team. And that hormone is LH. In the natural world, it's the body's ultimate go signal for ovulation. It's the hormone that tells a mature follicle it's time to release its egg. But here's the kicker. In the super-controlled world of IVF, that powerful natural signal, it can actually be a massive problem. So, to really get why LH is such a big deal in IVF, we've got to first take a peek at what its natural job is in the body. So what is this stuff anyway? Well, luteinizing hormone, or LH for short, comes from this tiny but totally mighty command center at the base of your brain called the pituitary gland. Its main gig in the female reproductive system is to act as the ultimate ovulation trigger. Okay, so check out this timeline of a typical cycle. For the first couple of weeks, in what we call the follicular phase, your follicles are growing and LH levels are pretty low and steady. But then, boom! Right around the middle of the cycle, something pretty dramatic happens. We get the LH surge. And this is the main event that gets ovulation started. Exactly. You can think of the LH surge as the starting pistol for a race. It is the one crystal clear signal that tells a mature follicle, all right, it's go time, release that egg. Everything that happens next is a direct result of that one command. And this isn't just random. The timing is incredibly precise. The second that surge happens, a clock starts ticking. Ovulation is going to follow about 24 to 36 hours later. It's this beautifully choreographed dance, really. But here's where things get complicated. That beautiful, natural process, it actually creates a massive challenge for IVF. And why is that? Well, remember, in IVF, we aren't just going for one egg. We're trying to get a whole bunch of them ready all at the same time. So you might be thinking, okay, why can't we just let the body do its thing and wait for that natural surge? And that's a great question. But in the world of assisted reproduction, that hands-off approach would pretty much lead to chaos. Because in IVF, timing is, well, it's everything. The whole point of the stimulation phase is to grow a whole cohort of follicles, right? We want them all growing at the same pace. If the body's natural LH surge just popped up, it would trigger ovulation way before all those precious eggs are mature and ready to be collected. Yeah, a premature surge is a huge deal. It introduces a ton of risk. You could literally lose the eggs before the retrieval even happens. You could end up with immature eggs, or the whole cycle could just get canceled. So the key takeaway here is we have to take control. And this brings us to the really clever part. Fertility specialists have come up with these brilliant strategies to manage the body's LH levels, basically stopping that natural surge from derailing the entire process. The goal is super simple, really. Hit the pause button on the body's natural ovulation timer. By using very specific medications, the clinical team can stop that premature LH surge. This gives all the developing follicles a chance to grow together and reach maturity, all set for a perfectly scheduled retrieval. Okay, so there are two main types of medication used to do this. First, you've got GnRH agonists like Lupron. Think of them as pressing the pause button before the cycle even starts. Then you have GnRH antagonists like Cetrotide. These guys are like a signal blocker that jumps in during the cycle to immediately stop LH in its tracks. This little table really breaks down the two approaches. That long agonist protocol. It gives your doctor some serious control over the cycle, but it starts the month before your actual stimulation. The short antagonist protocol is way more flexible and for a lot of people comes with a lower risk of something called ovarian hyperstimulation syndrome, or OHSS. Which one is right for you? That really comes down to your unique situation and what your doctor thinks is the best strategy. All right, so we've successfully stopped the body's natural LH surge. Now what? How do we actually get those mature eggs ready to go? Well, this is where the team orchestrates its own grand finale. Instead of waiting for the body's starting pistol, the IVF team brings its own. And this is the famous trigger shot. It's a super precisely timed injection that's going to kickstart that final stage of egg maturation. So what's actually in this shot?
Most of the time, it's a hormone called HCG. Its structure is so similar to LH that it basically works like the same key in the same lock, telling the eggs, okay, time to finish maturing. Sometimes they might use a GnRH agonist to get your body to release its own LH, but in a really controlled, predictable way.
So, once the ultrasounds show that the follicles are at just the right size, that trigger shot is given at a very specific time. I mean, down to the minute. And that starts the final 36-hour countdown. The egg retrieval is then scheduled for just before ovulation would naturally happen, letting the team collect those eggs when they're absolutely perfect. It really is all about that perfect timing. So it's pretty clear that getting LH timed perfectly is absolutely central to a successful IVF cycle, right? But it's almost never a one-hormone show. It kind of makes you wonder, what other key players are working behind the scenes, like FSH, estrogen, and progesterone, to support this whole incredible journey? Okay, before we sign off, it's really important to remember that this explainer is just for informational and educational purposes. It's definitely not a substitute for professional medical advice. So for any personal medical concerns, please always talk to your doctor. And if you'd like more information on the whole in vitro fertilization process, you can check out the IVF for Me portal. Thanks so much for watching.